Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? Way back, uh, February 15th, 2015, I remember watching this with my dad, when he was still around. I did a video, Private Benjamin reviewed through the eyes of a veteran. And I wanted to do that with the movie Stripes. Uh, Stripes was the Bill Murray movie that came out way back in '81. And I remember this. I remember at the time I was watching sneak previews with Cisco and Ebert, and of course they hated it. And I saw it originally on TV, and then I remember right around that time we had a later. I think my friend Dave Longshore and his sister were over at a friend's house because he wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies. Even when we had a uh, VCR. I remember his. I don't know if it was mom or stepmom. I can't remember. He was telling me at the house we were gonna watch a movie, and he was allowed to watch one. But we had two movies. We ran The Razor's Edge, which is PG-13, and Night of the Living Dead, which I guess was rated R, but it's really not an R-rated movie. The original one, I guess it's not R. It's not. It's unrated. But I remember seeing an ad that for Midnight Movies gave it an R rating, but it's really not an R-rated movie. I don't think. Probably PG, probably be PG-13 today. Um, and his mom said, "What movies?" And I said, "Well, The Razor's Edge and Night of the Living Dead." And he said, "What are they rated?" And I said, "Well, both PG-13." He said, "Well, yeah, pick one." And I said, "You can pick Night of the Living. I don't know, maybe Night of the Living Dead, maybe." And when we were going back, I think we were on a bike or walk. I can't remember. I said, Night of the Living Dead's rated R. And he said, "Oh, thanks, buddy. You're welcome." And then he said later on his mom figured it out. But actually, technically, it wasn't really an R-rated movie. But I remember seeing an ad for when it played Midnight Movie saying it was R-rated. Well, anyways, he was at his friend's house and he saw Stripes on Laserdisc, which is and that's an R-rated movie, and it deserves to be R-rated, even though it's not like a hard, heavy R rating. And he said he really liked it. And then his sister said, "Yeah, you liked all the mud wrestling scene, all the scenes where the nude women." And there were some scenes, a few scenes of nudity in it, not a ton, but there was nudity in it. Well, anyway, I saw it on TV. I didn't see it much later to uncut. I think we rented it. I've never seen it on TV because it had TV written all over it, And I remember seeing it some in Germany. I think I made a copy of it. And now I'm seeing it now. I haven't seen it in a long time. So I want to see how it parallels between my time in the Army and basic training. Because most of it takes place in basic training like Full Metal Jacket did. But Full Metal Jacket was serious. No one was better than Drill Sergeant Arlie Ermy. And he was tough. And he was so tough that the drill sergeants would imitate him during our basic training. Like, this is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for shooting, this is for fun, and stuff like that. And they were imitating him. And I didn't see Full Metal Jacket till Fort Bragg. And that came out like a year or so before I decided to go in the Army, before I even thought about it. And I don't know, seeing that might have swayed me to not go in the Army. I don't know. Even though that was base training for the Marines, I think, not the Army. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I can't remember. And and like I said, like the movies I saw before going to base training were like Stripes, Private Benjamin, including the TV show, which I saw more of the TV show. I didn't see the. I can't remember. I saw Private Benjamin. I think I saw it on TV and I saw it uncut, or maybe I just saw it on TV. I can't remember. And that really wasn't a hard rating. Oh, I was surprised it got R rating. There was some scenes of a little nudity, but it wasn't that bad. But probably just enough just to push it to an R rating. Well, anyways, let's get back to Stripes. What happened is it starts out with Bill Murray being kind of like a loser guy. He loses his job. He has a girlfriend who's very nice. There's a little bit of nudity there, too. And she says, he's a cab driver. And the first two guys rip him off, you know, and then the next lady is the lady you see in a bunch of, older lady you see in a bunch of TV shows. I can't remember her name. Because it's been a while, but I definitely know who she is. And she's usually like, watch, step on it, take your time, and make sure your bags don't get scratched up, and behave, and don't, and call him a bum and stuff like that. He said, that's it, lady. I don't want to take your abuse anymore. So he just stopped the cab in the middle of this bridge and then walked away. He quit his job. And then he walked home. His car got repoed. He had a pizza, picked up dry, and his girlfriend was all, said, well, quit my job. And he said, oh, great. And she's come like pretty much a slacker, saying like, you know, you sleep till noon, you watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, you might drive a cab for a couple hours, you order out all the time, and then you stay up and watch movies till dawn. And it's, I can't deal with this anymore. And he said, well, I mean, it's been a rough week. I'll get better. And she says, that hadn't been a week. It's been like 6 months. I think we can all identify with that character. At least, I mean, not a schlub, but I mean, like a guy that still likes to be a kid, you know what I mean? But I mean, you have to have a job and make money to support yourself and make a living. That's the important thing. And that's what he wasn't doing. But I mean, you can still keep the mind and heart of a child, you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm getting too philosophical in the movie. And she leaves, and the guy said, don't leave, the plants will die. And you see Harold Ramis, late Harold Ramis, who sadly passed away not too long ago, a few years back. And he was teaching English for like the very, very first time to people who barely knew English, stuff for like swear words. He was teaching them to do some songs and stuff like that. And then he ended up, him and Bill Murray like best friend. He ended up talking to Bill Murray. And, you know, he said, well, things are rough, man. I lost my job and all this other stuff, and things are really bad. And they were like, they split a beer. He had last beer, split a beer. And he watched the Army. He said, man, an Army commercial. And said, man, what about joining the Army? He said, and El Rey said, you got to be kidding. And also, I wanted to say, I mean, I liked that they had a classic Army commercial, and they had a classic Army commercial right at the beginning of the movie where he was getting his shoes shined before going back to being a cabbie at the very beginning. I like those old-fashioned Army. That brings a lot of memories back because they used to play those all the time. And like I said, Bill Murray was on Saturday Night Live, of course, and they had a thing. They used to have the commercial parodies. There was one for this toy race car thing. I can't remember where it is. I don't know where to look for it at. But they also had a thing for the Navy. And it was like the old-fashioned Navy commercial to the T, except in the middle they showed bathrooms. They showed cleaning the bathrooms and buffing the floors and stuff like that. Scrubbing toilets. Stuff they never show you in the Army thing. I said that's probably the most accurate thing for the military ever. I remember talking to my friend Ray Brooks. I didn't go to the Navy. I went in the Army. I said I was talking to him about that in Fort Detrick in '91. He said, remember that Saturday Night Live commercial spoof of the Navy, and then all of a sudden they showed them cleaning the latrines and stuff like that? So that was very accurate. I said, yeah, it was. And I was in the Army from like 87 to 91, Desert Storm vet. And so all of a sudden they go to the recruiter and he asks them a couple questions, and they're being like smart asses. And they pretty much said, and it's the job of the recruiter to get people in. You know, because sometimes they might fabricate the truth or something like that. It's all about them meeting their quota to get people to sign up. Because I know some recruiters that told people lies and stuff like that. And they said, well, here's your paper. And he said, make sure to sign your name. And then they pretty much off. That doesn't happen that way. Mine was a slow process. I kind of like took my time because I was still in the Army during the last month or two. I mean, still in the senior high school last month or two. And recruiter was asking what were my plans. I guess the recruiter called everybody. I know my friend John Walkwitz, he told me he hung up on him. I talked to him, and it's like, well, I'm thinking about maybe going to, but I'm not sure. And he had, and this is back when they were really easy access to find. I didn't even know where the cruisers are now. They were at right in the Edinburgh Mall. You know, I mean, right there. I mean, that's back when Edinburgh Mall was hustling and bustling. They had a lot of stuff going on in the 80s. Going there. Well, I mean, I don't want to get in the whole big thing, but, you know, it was a long process. I kind of took my time, and he said, like, you know, he talked to me, and then, like, a month later, he said, well, why don't you come in to have, like, a test? That's okay. And then, like, a month later, he called back and said, well, we want you to come down to Meadville to take the main test. I don't know if it's the ASVAB or I can't remember. An equivalency test of different things to see how skilled you are. And he said they took us out to Burger King, to McDonald's to eat in Edinburgh. And I'm really speeding this up because it's more about the review. And like I said, he came to meet my dad Tuesday and said, well, I'm thinking about in 2 days, you know, having him go up to have his physical done. I was like, oh no, this is moving too fast now. I was nervous. But like I said, I'm getting ahead of myself. They signed the papers, and all of a sudden it seemed like the next day or they were off to the buses to go right to base training. It wasn't like that at all. You know, it was a different story for me, but I mean, it's a process. It takes a long time. And all of a sudden they were in basic training. Because with us, I think they said Fort Arnold, but I guess it was formed as Fort Knox, which is probably one of the tougher places for basic. We were in Fort Jackson, and then someone said they call it relaxing in Jackson, or they said Fort Jackson had the easiest basic training. It was tough for me. I thought it was tough. It's supposed to be tough, and they try to break you. Well, anyways, they go to basic training. Like he said, usually you go to a reception station where they do stuff with fit for clothes, and you get your head shaved, stuff like that. Maybe they do things differently now. I don't know, or all posts are different. And the drill sergeant. The drill sergeant was kind of nice, played by Warren Oates. He wasn't like aggressive, but with us was basic training. The drill sergeant looked at us and got up there, resigned, and said, "Get the fuck off my bus!" I'm sorry. And I mean, you were running. You had everyone threw all their. Sorry, Maggie, I scared Maggie. They were throwing all all your stuff to the side, and you had to go run to your barracks. We're faster than hell. I mean, they didn't have that in here. It was more like laid back. And they went in this big room, and he talked about, for the next day, you're in basic training, and I'm going to teach you how to walk, talk. I mean, that's kind of like what they said, but they were a lot more aggressive and angry. But the one thing that was true was, he asked, do you understand what I'm saying? And one said, yes, sir. So, what? And he goes, yes, sir. Everyone said, yes, sir. And he says, no, you will address me as sergeant. I work for a living. They always say that. All the drill sergeants say it, because I said, I'm not an officer. I work for a living. All the drill sergeants say that. I scared Maggie. I'm sorry, honey. She's over on the couch. She looked over at me. But, I mean, the drill sergeant were really mean. I mean, and then there was a scene where they were talking, trying to get the soldiers to open up about themselves. I think they had something like that, a little rap section like that in base, I think, but later on. But some of the soldiers were like, John Candy was in there too. John Candy's brilliant. John Candy said, and he told the story, and there's one guy said, they call me psycho. If you get near me, I'll kill you. If you touch me, I'll kill you. If you call me French, I'll kill you. I'm not afraid you call me psycho. And there was nuts guys like that too. And like the Bill Murray said, like, well, I'm here to help you guys out. Or he's supposed to be like the nice guy everyone looks up to, but a bullshit artist. All those stereotypes were true in the Army of different soldiers. And like I said, he said that he was trying to be better before he reached age 30. He looked older than 30, but it was pretty much accurate because Stripes came out in 80, 81, and they probably filmed it in 80. So, I mean, he was born in 50, so he would have been 30, but he was a little bit older. He said he was in his 20s, but he was like 30. I'm trying to think of other stuff. And they showed him to get their hair cut, hair shaved, and only a few people got their head shaved, like John Candy and 2 or 3 other guys. Everyone else had their hair, and their hair was pretty long. No way would they get along with round out in basic. We had our head shaved. I mean, it was And even John Candy's hair was still pretty long for being buzz cut. I mean, we had it shaved down. I mean, they didn't take a razor to it. I mean, I guess you could get it, have it shaved and take a razor to it, but you're not allowed to do that. There was one guy that took a razor, went like this on both sides. He and drill sergeant had him go back down, and he was a little bit slow. And apparently, I know some people said if they ever met the enlister that got him in there, they'd kick his ass because he shouldn't have been in there. He was really slow. And a lot of people got away with their hair being incredibly long, but we had it shaved all the way pretty much, and then you had to pay for it too. And then like every 2 weeks you go back in, and then it wasn't all shaved. It was like a high and tight would be shaved on the side, and then like around the top, short around the top like that. And people said, someone said, yeah, it's a pussy cut. Well, look, you'll look like a pussy. You got the same cut too, asshole. Trying to be tough. And like I said, they got. I mean, they want to fly in there. I mean, and then they got their clothes fitted and stuff. But they said it all happened during basic. We had all there during reception station. But I mean, it might have been different in '81. I don't know. I went in '87. It's always changing, always evolving. They talk about the confidence course. We didn't have a confidence course. We just did regular, or they were talking about like a 10-mile march right off the start. We didn't do that. We had like a thing, like introduction to PT where they showed you all the training exercises, how to do like certain moves. And that day I was in KP, so I was screwed. Next day I didn't know what the hell was going on. I got bitched at big time. And they find out how your running is, and they have you go a mile, see how you're doing, and then they put you in like expert. It was like different by red, white, and blue. Expert, remedial, or average. I think I was average. And and that's where you do different basic during that, and you all have a flashlight to look down. And they said to get up at 5 o'clock. We had to get up at 4:30. And a lot of times we found out to get up at 4 o'clock with the lights off. And you can go up there and get completely ready and have your bed made and stuff like that before that. Cause all they did, turned on the lights. 4:30. If you were not completely ready, everything was ready by 4:45, you were wrong. I mean, you're going to get in trouble. And like I said, they went in a confidence court and stuff like that. We didn't do any of that stuff too much later. We did like the basic stuff. They did have the bayonet training, and it was a little bit different. They had like the full dummies. We had like a tire, and we had a tire that we stab with the bayonet. Then we had the bayonet obstacle course. We had like going to foxhole and you stab, and there's like a plastic mannequin head and body, and people like stab you in the eyeball, stab you, gouge out your face, and stuff. I would laugh my ass like I thought it was hilarious. That's just me. That's how some of the soldiers work. I remember that shit was funny. And they said you could take your time during that obstacle course. Because basically you had a sharp weapon, you'd probably kill yourself if you ran super fast. That's when you're not timed in. But we had base training like that. Trying to think of some other thing that happened. It's really hilarious. I'm just talking about the similarities. Bill Murray was great, smart. And then there was a scene where Warren Oates was a great drill sergeant, but he wasn't. Everyone's saying Arlie Immer's the best. I remember seeing Biloxi Blues also in AIT, which I love that movie. And they were complaining about Christopher Walken not being tough enough, but he was Christopher Walken. He just was bizarre. Some of the other soldiers, but I love that movie. And there's a scene where because Bill Murray and Warren Oates were kind of at odds with each other, and he was saying like he's just a smart ass and stuff. And there was a scene where you want to take a swipe at me. And that probably would have happened with the drill sergeant just taking off, free drinks, taking off his hat, punched Bill Murray in the gut. He said, I'm going to forget this thing ever happened, but I want you to remember it long and hard. And then Bill Murray was going to sneak out, and Harold Ramis got him. And he said, you talked me into that, you son of a gun, and all this other stuff. Excuse me. That's a veterans thing, too. I remember one time in Fort Bragg, talking about fart thing. My roommate was in the bottom bunk. I was the top bunk. I farted so bad I woke him up. He was pissed. That was fun. It smelled so bad I woke him up. That was hilarious. Sorry, fart alert in this one. But going back to the movie, there was a scene where he said, "I heard some of you soldiers snuck out a base. You stepped forward, whoever it was, and Harold Ramis stepped forward, and he said that and the other guy, no one else, and then he said they had big KP. They were pissed off at Bill Murray. And, I taught out of order and stuff. And there were scenes where, like, they were mud wrestling and stuff, but I don't know how they got off base the second time and stuff. They weren't been allowed to get that. They kept on a tight leash. I mean, one thing that really did happen was a couple soldiers snuck off and went to the PX. And they were walking by, and these guys in plain dress said, "Do you guys need a ride back to the barracks?" And I said, "Sure, man." And I was like, 3 guys. And I said, "All right." And all of a sudden, you see them taken from the PX. And they weren't supposed to be there. And then go to MP station. And they were MPs in regular civilian dress that were off duty. And they got in big trouble. They had to do a lot of detail, a lot of KP, and all this other stuff. Then the first sergeant called them the Three Musketeers. And they had John, I almost said John Leguizamo, John Larroquette as an officer. He was pretty much accurate as the officer. They're always screw-ups, kind of. But it's a great movie. I mean, they got away with a lot. And also, I remember that thing for graduation of basic and stuff like that. The drill sergeant got hurt. So they were kind of like on their own. That wouldn't have happened either. We had 3 drill sergeants that took turns and stuff like that. One female, one who was a bitch. And, and there was a scene when they were preparing for a graduation. It was all ragtag type stuff. And the stuff with the mud wrestle was great. It was a hilarious movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking about similarities. It's an absolutely hilarious movie. I loved it. But, as far as, they did a thing, razzle dazzle, that's the fact, Jack. And my dad, as soon as they said that's fact, Jack, my dad goes, "This is goddamn stupid." I remember seeing it on TV. My dad hates Bill Murray. But he was in a movie called, let me look up Bill Murray. He was in a movie, let me make sure I got it right. I think it was Mad Dog and Glory. My dad said he liked that one a lot because it wasn't Bill Murray played a completely different character. He liked that. Let's see, IMDb. I think it was called Mad Dog and Glory. Like I said, it's going to be a long video. I'm talking a lot. Let me see. I just want to look that up. But my dad always hated Bill Murray. He had him on Saturday Night Live too. He hated that whole nightclub thing with going, "Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars," like that. I always thought he was great. Because my dad was not a Bill Murray fan. Let me see, what was he in? Is this him? Or maybe I'm wrong. What the hell? I don't have it right. Oh, I got it wrong, Bill Murray. Damn it. I was wondering why I was wrong. There we go. Got the wrong Bill Murray. Okay. Let me look it down. I think it was Mad Dog and Glory. I think he played like a gangster or something like that. Dad really liked him in that. He liked that movie. And then he was in a movie called St. Vincent. I think my dad would have liked that too. There might have been one or two other things he liked that he was in. But no, I know he hated Groundhog's Day. What About Bob? Mad Dog and Glory, yeah. He hated him in What About Bob? That was hilarious. He liked, Richard Dreyfuss is much better than that. But I mean, after that, they had another act. I don't want to get into no real spoilers or anything like that, but I really enjoyed the movie. And you see a lot of, along with John King, you see two other alumni from SCTV, the Great SCTV, which was kind of like the Friday nights Saturday Night Live on NBC. And then I got too expensive, so they ditched that. They said they only keep one show. They ditched SCTV because it's too expensive when they kept Saturday Night Live. And Saturday Night Live's still going. But also you saw John Candy, you saw like Dave Thomas. Because I don't remember him being in that. They had like... Oh, yeah. These chips made from... Yeah. They had... they got me off guard. Because they have comments from people coming on the bottom of the screen. And Dave Thomas... I didn't know he was in that. With the mud wrestling scene, he was like the guy on the mic. You know, and then I knew that Paul Flaherty was one of the Russians towards the end of the movie. Russian soldiers in the movie. But I really liked the movie. I give the movie a 10 out of 10. There's definitely inaccuracies, but it's a movie. They couldn't show all the processes of all the steps getting into base training. But I mean, it's like the first act. The big second act with Army and base to get into the third act. I love the movie. I give it a 10 out of 10. It's a true classic. They got away with a lot of stuff that won't have flown. I mean, there's no way they could have been dressed like that for that graduation parade at all for the base training. And we had ours inside. I think it was raining out, and we planned on. We had like rehearsals with the drill sergeants for the parade and stuff like that. And we ended up having it inside. So there you have it for Stripes reviewed through the eyes of a veteran. That'll be a 27-minute review. Damn, almost 27 minutes review. So I hope you like this video. It's a true classic. I'm sure most of you've seen it. Like I said, they said the budget for that was $10 million. It'd probably be about $200 million by today's standards. $10 million in 1981 is a lot of money, believe me. So I hope you like this video, everybody. Until next time, please, take care, Malik.